I'm just your average, snack-loving, adventure-chasing golden dog. And guess what? My best friend Dad and I go on the coolest adventures. We've got a big black Jeep named Birdie, a whole world to explore, and, of course, plenty of snacks. Every week is a brand new tail-wagging adventure. You never know what we'll find. Hidden carrots, new friends, maybe even buried treasure. So grab your hat, pack your snacks, and come with us.
Harley and Dad's epic Canadian adventure, the Northwest Territories. The Arctic wind licked at Harley's golden ears like a sneaky snowflake. He stood at the edge of the Arctic Ocean, paws sunk in the pebbly shore, tail wagging so hard it nearly toppled Kimmick the husky plushie. "Dad, this smells like frozen adventure," Harley declared. He dipped one paw into the icy water, then yelped and hopped backward in a blur of fur. "Yipe! Colder than when you hide carrot sticks under the peas in the freezer." Dad chuckled, eyes twinkling beneath his straw hat. "That's the Arctic Ocean, buddy, the very top of Canada." Harley puffed out his chest, paw dripping and proud. "Then I claim it in the name of snacks, belly rubs, and Harley the Brave." Behind them waited something very unlike Birdie the Jeep or Oliver the RV. It was big. It was reddish. It was dented and dusty and hummed faintly and smelt of diesel and bacon grease. Faded letters on the door read, "Polar Drilling Limited." Dad patted its fender. A drilling company needed this old service truck delivered south to Yellowknife, so they let us borrow it for the drive. The truck groaned, a sound somewhere between a yawn and a creaky door, as if to say, "I'll go, but no promises about comfort." Harley scrambled into the wide cab, eyes huge. The seat was cracked, the glove box rattled with pencils and maps, and an ancient jar of pickles rolled back and forth like a slow-motion maraca. He wrinkled his nose, then grinned. "Dad, this thing smells like socks and bacon, and I love it." Kimmick took his place on the dash, ears perked, guarding the lunchbox full of snacks. The truck rumbled away, coughing out a backfire that made Harley duck. "Bless you," he said solemnly. Dad laughed, shifted into gear, and together they rolled out of Tuktoyaktuk, heading south on the long road to Yellowknife. Gravel crunched beneath the tires as the road stitched across the wide tundra. The land stretched forever, calm and bright, dotted with round snowy mounds that looked like sleeping giants in winter hats. "Giant muffin tops!" Harley gasped, nose pressed to the glass. "Those are pingos," Dad explained. "Hills of ice pushed up by frozen ground. Permafrost. It's underneath." Harley tilted his head, respectful. "So the earth baked them?" "Well, more like the earth pushed them," Dad said, smiling. "Still delicious looking," Harley murmured. The glove box rattled with its treasure of paper maps, stubby pencils, and the half-empty pickle jar that clinked with every bump. The rear-view mirror wobbled so much it seemed to wag its own tail. Harley decided the truck was alive. Not fast, not fancy, but loyal and loud. He secretly named it Snack Tank. By the time they reached Inuvik, the sun poured gold over rooftops and spruce tops. They parked before the famous Igloo Church, round as a cookie tin and white as fresh snow. "Snack Fortress," Harley whispered. "No one would ever find history in there." Dad raised an eyebrow. "Biscuitory?" "Exactly," Harley said, striking his most scholarly pose while Kimmick balanced on his head like a dignified hat. After their photo, they ducked into a little cafe for warmth. Dad ordered a thermos of hot cocoa. He took a sip, and Harley leaned in to sniff. "This smells like melted happiness," he sighed. South from Inuvik, the road stretched out like a long gray ribbon someone had dropped across the land. The snack tank rumbled and creaked, every bolt adding to its own little percussion to the endless sky above. Kimmick kept guard on the dash, nose pointed forward like a furry compass, while Harley made very important announcements from the passenger seat. "That cloud looks like a meatball. Oh, that one's a muffin. Dad, if I were a muskox, I'd wear a sweater, even in the summer." Dad smiled, the kind of smile that comes from good company and good miles. Then Harley's ears perked. "Dad, Dad, look!" he barked, paws smacking the window. On a roadside turnout, a rugged truck stood proudly, cameras perched like curious birds. A man leaned beside it, waving with the easy confidence of someone who truly belonged to the road. Harley gasped. "That's the Destination Adventure guy!" His tail blurred like a golden fan. Dad slowed the snack tank, grinning. "You're right. That's Dustin Porter. He's driven these northern roads and shares his journeys with everyone." They pulled over just long enough for a quick hello. Dustin waved warmly, and Harley immediately struck his best explorer pose, chest puffed, tongue out, tail up, for a selfie in front of the Destination Adventure rig. The photo caught it perfectly. Harley front and center, Kimmick perched on the dash behind him, the sleek filming truck glowing in the sunlight, and the dented, dusty snack tank peeking shyly from the edge like a bashful backup dancer. Harley studied the picture afterward and sighed happily. Destination Adventure, featuring Destination Snacks. Dad chuckled. "You fit right in, buddy." With a friendly honk and wave, they continued down the Dempster, the road unwinding into the wild, wild north. By midday, the horizon shimmered silver. The mighty Mackenzie River came into view, broad, calm, and ancient as a whispered story. The ferry waited at the shore, its deck creaking softly in the wind. The snack tank drove aboard with a growl and a cough, then vibrated contentedly like a giant metal cat. Harley leaned over the railing, eyes wide. "Dad, there's another Harley down there," he barked. "He's staring at me, and I think he knows about the carrot sticks." Dad laughed. "That's your reflection, pal." Harley squinted at the rippling water, narrowing his eyes suspiciously. I'll allow him to continue being me," he decided gravely, "but only if he keeps his paws off my snacks." Dad shook his head, smiling as the ferry glided across the water. The water sparkled. The air smelt faintly of spruce and diesel, and Harley, watching the waves, whispered softly, "The world's so big, Dad, and it's beautifully snack-shaped." Dad's chuckle drifted on the breeze as the far shore drew near. The snack tank hummed south through the spruce and willow until a small cluster of buildings appeared ahead, Fort McPherson, quiet under the wide northern sky. The air smelled of spruce sap, wood smoke, and the river nearby. They stopped near a wooden sign and a weather-worn plaque. Dad brushed the frost from the metal and read aloud the story of the Lost Patrol, a group of Mounties who set out over a century ago to reach Dawson City and never made it home. Harley listened, head tilted, ears high. When Dad finished, he sat tall on the seat, chest puffed out, eyes soft. "To the brave," he said solemnly, "and to their families, and also to whoever packed their snacks." Dad's mouth twitched. "Well said, buddy." A swirl of dust puffed past the tires. Harley sniffed, sneezed, and added, "and to tissues." Then they rolled on again in gentle silence, the tundra stretching wide and kind around them. Farther south, the land shifted. Low hills rose. The air thickened with the smell of moss and thawing earth. Overhead, a handful of raisins looped and clicked, their black wings gleaming like ink in the sunlight. "Snack spies," Harley said, clutching Kimmick for moral support. "Stand down, you crumb thieves." The ravens cawed back, clearly unbothered. A little later, Dad pointed. "Muskox," he said quietly. Harley's jaw dropped. A shaggy herd grazed in the distance, their coats long and woolly, their breath rising in white puffs. "Woolly sweater cows," Harley said. "I want to knit a sweater like they have." Dad laughed. "You'd run out of yarn." "Also, I don't know how to knit," Harley admitted. That afternoon, a black bear wandered across a sun-warmed clearing, nose twitching. Dad slowed, watching respectfully from far back. Harley pressed his nose to the window, whispering, "He's magnificent. Should we offer him a carrot?" "We should offer him space," Dad said gently. Harley nodded. Space. And maybe a compliment about his fur. The days stacked up like pancakes, warm, round, and full of surprises. The sun lingered forever, hanging in the sky like it didn't want to miss a thing. Gravel slowly gave way to stretches of pavement, and the forest thickened around them, spruce and pine singing in the wind like a deep green choir. The snack tank groaned and clattered, but never quit. It shuddered over potholes and cheered with a metallic clink every time Dad shifted on a hill. Harley decided it was doing its best impression of a marching band. They stopped often at pullouts with views like paintings, where blue lakes rested among the trees like mirrors catching the sky. Dad stretched his legs while Harley stuck his nose into every breeze, collecting smells like souvenirs: moss, pine, wood smoke, and a hint of rain. Lunches were always better out here. They sat on the tailgate sharing sandwiches that tasted like adventure. Harley declared that wind added seasoning. Dad said it added dirt. They both agreed it was perfect. When the truck backfired, cough! Harley dove under a pile of maps. "It sneezed again," he cried, emerging with a pencil behind his ear. "Bless you." At a dusty fuel stop, a mechanic leaned out of his bay and looked the truck over. "Bringing her to Yellowknife?" he asked. Dad nodded. "One careful mile at a time." The mechanic smiled at Harley. "Good co-pilot?" "The best," Dad said. Harley glowed, tail sweeping the seat. One afternoon, the world suddenly opened like a book, and on the new page shimmered Great Slave Lake. Water stretched to the horizon, silver and blue, the sunlight dancing across it in 1,000 tiny steps. Dad slowed the truck and pulled to a stop. "One of the largest and deepest lakes in the world," he said to Harley. Harley's eyes went wide. "Deep enough to hold every snack in Canada?" Dad chuckled. "Maybe not quite, but deep enough for big dreams." Harley leaned against the open window, eyes soft. "Then I'll wish for safe roads, kind strangers, and a duck friend." 3 solid wishes, Dad said. The air smelled like water and pine and the faint sweetness of the far north. As they rolled onward, Harley rested his chin on the window frame, watching the light sparkle on the lake until it looked like a sky that had forgotten to stop. By late afternoon, the battered snack tank rolled into Yellowknife, sighing a last smoky puff as Dad eased it into the drilling company yard. The old truck gave a final rattle, half yawn, half victory cheer. Harley hopped down and patted its fender. Good job, Snack Tank. You were loud, smelly, and a little sneezy, but you got us here. I salute you." Then, across the lot, Harley froze. His ears shot up. His tail exploded into a golden blur. "Dad, look!" There, gleaming under the northern sun, sat a familiar cream-colored RV with friendly stripes and the name Oliver shining proudly on the side. "Oliver!" Harley barked, tearing across the gravel. He leapt onto the step, nose smushed against the door. "I missed you! Did the train feed you snacks? Did you dream about us?" Dad laughed, eyes warm. "Hello, old friend. Glad you made the trip." The door clicked open. Inside smelled of home, warm cushions, soft fabric, and the faint trace of cedar and coffee. Harley bounded in, spinning joyful circles until he flopped belly up with a blissful sigh. "Home on wheels," he murmured. "My paws missed you so much, Oliver." They wandered down to Old Town, where bright houseboats bobbed on the lake and gulls called from above crooked docks. "Floating houses!" Harley gasped. "Imagine a floating snack cupboard!" Dad grinned. "Imagine trying to reach the top shelf every time a wave goes by." At the Prince of Wales Northern Heritage Centre, Dad explored displays about northern peoples, explorers, and wildlife, while Harley listened to drums that sounded like the heartbeat of the land. "This place is full of stories," Dad said. "And snacks?" Harley asked. "In the gift shop," Dad admitted. And there, amid shelves of books and carvings, Harley found a plushie white bear with kind black eyes. He hugged it tight. The plushie hugged back in that quiet plushie way, steady and sure. "Meet Nanuk," Harley said. "He's made of clouds and courage." Back inside Oliver, Nanuk took his place beside Kimmick and the rest of the plushie crew. Oliver hummed contentedly, as if welcoming another friend aboard. They visited the Legislative Assembly, a round chamber of pale wood and sunlight. Harley padded to the center, curled into a perfect cinnamon roll, and lifted his head like a judge. "I hereby declare," he announced, "that all important meetings should allow for breaks for stretching and snacks." Dad looked up at the ceiling. "Seconded." "And belly rubs on Tuesdays," Harley added. "Carried," said Dad. That night, Oliver was parked by the shore of Great Slave Lake. The air was still. The sky waited. Then a ribbon of green unfurled above them, slow, silent, alive. It shimmered and danced, twisting into purple, and then back to green again. Harley sat pressed against Dad, Nanuk tucked beneath one paw, Kimmick at his side. The lights rippled across the glass, painting soft colors on Oliver's ceiling. "Dad," Harley whispered, "now that is a destination adventure." Dad gave his shoulder a squeeze, and the perfect reunion for it. Harley's eyes grew heavy. "I learned that trucks can sneeze, rivers keep secrets, and even when you're far apart, your best friends always find their way back." Dad stroked his ears. "That's right, buddy." Outside, the Aurora swayed above the lake. Inside, Oliver purred, a family whole again, wrapped in the quiet heartbeat of the North. "How was the Northwest Territories?" asked Dad. "Well," said Harley, "the Arctic Ocean was freezing, like cold paws under my feet. And then, when we were in the snack tank, we met Dustin Porter. The Mackenzie River has ravens who are really snack spies. We saw woolly sweater cows. Oh, and bears. Yellowknife was great because we got Oliver back. Oh, and we saw the Legislative Building and Great Slave Lake, and we found Nanuk. and wow! Harley snuggled against Dad, closing his tired little eyes. Best trip ever.
What a great day that turned out to be! Best day ever! I can't wait until next week when we go on another adventure. Make sure you click subscribe so you can join me, and like my video too, please, because I sure like you. See you next week, friends!